Yesterday marked the official 6 months since I've been laid off from the federal government by the federal government. In those 6 months, I have applied to over 300 jobs and I have gotten none of them.
So ever since the government shut down, we have seen a number of people coming online, sharing their stories about being broke. Many of them will admit that they were living paycheck to paycheck, not doing really well. And then some of them are just like, you know what, I need to go and find another job because this ain't happening. Some of them are trying to get into the social media realm at this point in time just to get a few dollars. But I want you to listen to this young lady because she really shares a story, and it's not very long, but she shares a story about her own trials and how long it's been taking for her to even get her foot in the door. A lot of times too, when people work for government and they have that expertise, whatever it may be, they think that automatically once they put their resumes out there that, you know, people are just going to be like, oh, calling immediately to give them a job. And the reality is sometimes you have to go through hundreds of applications. You, the person putting it out, you have to submit hundreds of applications sometimes just to get a job. I've read that so many times online. There was a lady who said she put out 300 applications. People doubted it. And I said, I 100% believe that, especially if you're in an area like the DMV area where it's super competitive and the people who you're competing against, they're like creme de la creme when it comes to education and experience. So you definitely need to have something to set you apart, or you have to have a serious connection. I don't know this full story. I just know it's 47 seconds. And by the way, guys, if you have a video that you want me to react to, please email me at bemyguest@thisbahamygal.com or collab@thisbahamygal.com. I'll put those on the screen. Please send your videos, but send mostly like TikTok and YouTube links. If it looks like a funny link, I'm not clicking it because you're going to get me hemmed up. I hadn't been got before. My name, by the way, is Rogan. This is the This Baby Gal podcast. On my platform, I do social commentary and reaction videos. I encourage my audience to have private conversations in public. So let's just listen to this content creator who will be tagged down below in the description box. Let's go.
Yesterday marked the official 6 months since I've been laid off from the federal government by the federal government. In those 6 months, I have applied to over 300 jobs and I have gotten none of them. I've only actually been offered one interview in 6 months. I've had professionals redo my resume. I've done career coaching. I have literally utilized all of the self-help tools and things that have been offered to me to no avail. So all I really have left is clinging to faith. God has provided thus far, and I know my breakthrough is coming, ending Q1 in such a traumatic way. And then now here we are in Q4. I know God's going to do his big one, but I'm just waiting on the win.
Well, baby girl, you can never lose with God. Let me just start with that. So I like that she had that to say. You can never, ever lose with God. I feel for her. And like I said, I didn't even realize that she said 300 either, because I'm telling you, I've read so many, like go to Reddit and go online. You'll hear people saying like, I'm putting out application after application after application. And the reality is they're not getting anywhere with it. And like I said, it depends also on where you are, because sometimes some areas are super competitive and it's really hard. It's only so many jobs. And if you're laying off thousands of people, there ain't going to really be thousands of jobs available to you. I think what's important too, I don't know if you guys ever watch Insecure. I wasn't like a huge fan of the show, but I remember Issa Rae's boyfriend. What's his name? Oh, Lord, I can't even remember the guy's name. I think his real name is Jay or something like that. But I remember he was like educated and he was having a hard time getting a job. And Issa was just like, go get any job. And I think I remember seeing in the episode, he was told that, listen, you might have to kind of like lower your standards for the moment, right? Just so you can get a job. Those of you who watch Insecure, y'all know what I'm talking about. And I could see that hit him really hard as a character, right? But that's the reality too. Like when you have bills to pay, when you have mouths to feed, I'm not saying it's easy, like, especially if you're college educated or you're accustomed to making high 5 figures, 6 figures, it's not going to be easy to go and work a regular job. And what a regular job looks like, it might be like working in a bank. It might be working retail. It might be working in a restaurant. But those are the things you're going to have to do to kind of carry you over. I remember John Witherspoon, who used to play Pops on the Wayans Brothers. I love him so much, God rest his soul. But one of the pieces of advice he would always give like his co-stars is you got to have a lot of keys. I literally wrote that down and put that on my refrigerator. He's like, you got to have more keys, brother. You got to have them keys. And I was like, you have to have keys, meaning you have to have multiple streams of income. You have to have multiple ways to earn these days. You cannot just, unless you really, really balling and you really, really saving when you ball, you cannot afford to just have like one job. Those days are over. You cannot have you don't have the luxury of having just one job. Even celebrities don't have one job. Beyonce is a singer. And guess what? She's selling liquor, her Sacred Hairline, merch. What else she's selling? When she was in selling House of Darion jeans, she, partnership with Adidas and all they always get their hands in multiple things because sometimes the music ain't selling. And if she is a multi-millionaire, appearing on what Forbes lists and stuff, feels the need to diversify her income, how you at 70K, 60K, 50K ain't thinking to diversify your income? You have to. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm saying this to be real. That sometimes people wait for the bottom to fall out to say, what's next? Oh, how am I going to get this money? You know how many people I see come online and they're like, oh, I might as well get into this YouTube thing or TikTok thing so I can make some money. I mean, it's still steps to it, bro and sis. You don't just open up your camera. I mean, you may go viral, but you know, especially like on YouTube, you have to get monetized. Some people have been on this platform for years and ain't been monetized. You got to get monetized. You got to get monetized. You have to meet certain criteria. So it's not just like overnight you can do it. But if you were working a regular job, if you were in the bank, if you were in government and you decided to work your side hustle or to work your Instagram or to work your TikTok or your YouTube, and you were doing that all along, when the bottom fell out over there, you would have been able to just kind of like supplant your income with the money over here. You got to think like that now, right? And everybody don't want to do social media. I know that's like the default position, but everybody don't want to do social media. Some people just don't, that's not their thing. But then you're going to have to figure it out and figure it out now. I just put out a newsletter last Wednesday. Sign up for my newsletter if you guys aren't already signed up, by the way. Everything is in the description box. And I was talking about the need to diversify your income when you're a content creator. And how I've had to do that myself. So I'm not just reliant on one source, which would be like AdSense, you know? And if I'm thinking that way as a content creator, you have to think that way too. When you're working a job where someone can fire you, algorithms change too. And one day you getting hundreds of thousands of views and the next day you're not. So you have to think about every single possible avenue. And when that money comes in your hand, you really do have to hold on to it. Let me tell you something. Years ago, I used to be bad with money. My mother used to say, money must see is burn your hand. Meaning the minute you get it, you gotta go. And that was decades ago, right? But I just was like, if I want to eat a certain place, I'll eat a certain place. If I want to buy a certain thing, I buy a certain thing. Now people call me cheap. You're so damn cheap. I like being cheap because if it means I have money in the bank and I'm secure, and an emergency becomes an inconvenience and not really an emergency, that's living. That's good living. When your tire blows out and you say, I can afford to fix it. And your fuel pump goes and you go, I can afford to fix it. I know I'm going on a rant right now, but I'm just trying to put that in your head. I feel sorry for this young lady. It must be incredibly discouraging. And that's why you have discouraged workers too. A lot of times when you have unemployment reports, the unemployment reports will look a certain way, like, oh, more people are in the job force, but there are people who are discouraged workers, meaning they don't even apply anymore. They just don't even apply. They don't apply. They're discouraged workers because after you get 300 or 299 rejections, very few people are going to go on to the 300th rejection, right? Or give it 300 attempts. A lot of people are just going to be like, I'm not getting a job. Some people do 20 applications and nothing happens and they go, oh, you can't hire me, and especially if you're an older candidate as well. I don't care what companies say. They discriminate against older workers. I remember this lady, she was in her 60s and she said, I've been trying to get a job in retail and they won't even hire me. I'm like, wow, not even in retail environment? They won't hire you? She's like, no. She's like, probably because I'm just too old. So she had to move to another city and it's just crazy. I see a lot of these government workers. And again, I live in Washington, D.C., a lot of federal workers here. And you can see the difference with them being furloughed right now. Because I think I read a report just 2 days ago where it says like Chipotle and Sweet Green and Cava were seeing decreased foot traffic with a certain age group. I think it was 25 to 35, if I'm not mistaken. If I find the article, I'll put it in here. But a lot of these companies are seeing declined foot traffic. The malls are emptier around here because people just don't have the money. It's not that they don't want to shop, especially as we're heading into like the holidays. Please. So I like this girl's attitude that she really shows her resilience in the sense that she was still willing to put out more applications, which is great. But also the fact that, she's keeping God first. You could never fail with God, ever. So I just hope that she gets back on her feet in a major way. And for those of you out there who are jobless right now, like really start thinking and don't, when you like, because the furlough will end, right? And many of you will return to your jobs. Don't forget. Because remember, being on a government job used to be the thing. That used to be the thing. Everybody wanted to get you a good government job. Not anymore. Like, there's really no security anywhere. You could be fired at any time. You could be furloughed at any time. And your money just stops. So even when you get back on the job, they open up the government and you go back, like really start to think, I got to save. I got to move differently, Even with me, I told two of my girlfriends, because, they like to party. They like to go out. And, nothing wrong with that. But I told them, I said, listen, I have goals. I got stuff I got to do. And so I said, I can go out twice a month with you guys. Twice. And that's it. I cannot do any more than that because I have a goal. And so I don't want to just be living it up and broke. So, y'all pick the two things that y'all want me to come to. I'll come to those, but that's it. So just mind your money when you get back on your job, whether you're furloughed or not, unemployed, just move differently. Don't let this be a wasted lesson. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Drop your comments down below. As usual, for those who are listening to the audio podcast, please go to youtube.com/thisbaemygal. Like this video for me, please. And shout out, by the way, to my viewer or my listener from Bastrop, Texas. I don't know your name. I always have to send you a shout out because you're so consistent in reaching out to me. So thank you so much. I see all of your comments. I do. I just don't know how to respond. But drop your comments down below. Follow me on Instagram at thisbaemygal. Follow me on my blog, thisbaemygal.com. I'm also on Rumble. I'm also on TikTok at thisbaemygaltbg. If you want to contribute to this channel, please become a channel member. You can go and buy items from my merch store and buy me a coffee. The link will be on, the QR code will be on the screen. The link will be in the description box. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening in. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye. Toodles.